Not mind reading, signal decoding. But where does it go next? Because right now, today, people are already moving cursors with thoughts, not with magic, with electricity, the kind your brain leaks every millisecond like a talkative battery. And the question isn't, is this real? It is real. The question is, who controls the future when thoughts become data? In this episode, I'll give you 3 things, tight and memorable. What BCIs actually do, not reading minds, but decoding patterns tied to intention. The 3 BCI paths racing right now: skull, blood vessel, and headset, and why each is a different bargain with reality. The big twist. The hardest part isn't building the tech, it's building the rules. Trail markers will keep you on the path. Let's begin. Let's kill the biggest myth fast. A brain-computer interface is not a device that hears your secret inner diary like, "Dear diary, I crave shawarma and revenge." No, most BCIs decode signals correlated with intention, like move right, click, or attempt speech. It's closer to reading muscle plans than reading philosophy. Your brain is constantly broadcasting electrical patterns. BCIs capture some of that and translate it into commands. So when someone says thought tech, don't imagine a mind reader. Imagine a translator, a very nerdy translator, trying to convert brain electricity into computer language. Now, how do we capture those signals? First road, the headset route, EEG. Pros: safest, cheapest, easiest to scale. Cons: the skull is basically a low-pass filter with opinions. The signals are weaker and noisier, so the bandwidth is limited. EEG BCIs can still do impressive things, but think of it like trying to read a conversation through a wall. Second road, direct implants near or in the cortex. Pros: stronger signals, higher bandwidth, more precision. Cons: it's surgery. Your brain does not accept oops as an apology. This is the road many people associate with headlines. For example, Neuralink announced its first human implant in January 2024, and its prime study is explicitly framed as evaluating safety and functionality of a wireless BCI implant and surgical robot. And in late January 2026, Reuters reported the company said it had 21 participants enrolled globally in trials. Important, this is still early clinical territory, promising, but not a finished consumer gadget. Third road is the one that sounds like sci-fi, but is oddly elegant. BCI through blood vessels. Synchron developed an implanted system called the Stentrode, delivered endovascularly, less invasive than open skull surgery in many cases. Reporting and clinical summaries describe an FDA-approved IDE pathway for a permanently implanted BCI study, command with performance reporting, and no serious adverse events in published coverage. Think of it as, instead of putting sensors into brain tissue, you park them in the neighborhood via vascular routes and listen through the vessel wall. Now, here's the suspense twist. All 3 roads work, but each road has a different limit. And the clearest proof that BCIs are not hype is speech. If you can restore speech to someone who can't speak, you don't need marketing. The result markets itself. In 2023, a major paper in Nature demonstrated a high-performance speech, neuroprosthesis decoding attempted, speech into unconstrained sentences at 62 words per minute from intracortical recordings. Let's translate that. That's not yes/no. That's sentences. And yes, natural conversation is faster than 62 WPM, but the point is, we're no longer in the era of blink twice to say hello. We're in the era of your brain intends language, and the machine can translate it. That is the first real step toward thought tech. That feels like sci-fi becoming routine. But now, we enter the rabbit hole. Because once a machine can decode signals tied to intention, the next fight is not just engineering, it's ethics. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your brain's signal becomes data, it can be stored. If it can be stored, it can be copied. If it can be copied, it can be abused. That's why you're seeing serious policy work emerging around neurotechnology. The OECD published a neurotechnology toolkit that discusses governance, privacy, discrimination risks, and safeguards for neurotech across contexts like workplaces and schools. European Parliament. Research has focused on mental privacy and the societal implications of neuroscience and neurodata. UNESCO has covered Chile's push to pioneer neuro rights, protections, and constitutional framing, showing this is moving beyond tech blogs into governance. Now, quick comedic reality check. We can't even keep passwords safe, and we're talking about securing brain data. So the ethical questions aren't optional. They're inevitable. Consent. If you rely on a BCI to communicate, can consent ever be fully free, or is it coerced by need? Security. If a device can write commands, what happens when someone tries to hijack the command stream? Identity. If your voice output is synthesized, what does your voice mean? Access. Will this be medicine for the few or autonomy for the many? This is why sci-fi becoming real is not only exciting, it's legally explosive. Now let's go deeper, but keep the trail. The next question is, what does next actually look like? The near-term win is communication. Faster. This is why companies like Paradromics are positioning around restoring communication, with reporting that it received FDA approval for a first long-term clinical trial. Early stage, aimed at speech/text restoration. Different tech stacks, same human goal, give agency back. One-way BCIs decode intention. Two-way BCIs add feedback, touch, proprioception, maybe even artificial sensation. That's where thought tech stops being just control and becomes embodiment. This is also where ethics intensifies, because writing signals into the nervous system raises different safety and autonomy questions. The big risk is the pivot from medicine to consumer enhancement. Clinical BCIs are built for patients with severe needs. Consumer markets chase scale, and scale changes incentives. That's why governance work is happening now, not later. Because once something becomes a product category, it gets aggressive, and your brain should not be a subscription service. So here's the ending. BCIs are not mind reading. They are signal decoding, and that's already powerful enough to change lives. We've seen cursor control in early human implant demonstrations, and we've seen speech decoding reach speeds that start to resemble real communication. But the real question isn't whether thought tech can happen. The question is, will we build it like medicine or like marketing? Because the future of BCIs will be decided by two forces: engineers expanding what's possible, and society deciding what's allowed. And if we do this right, the most sci-fi outcome won't be superpowers. It will be something far more sacred. People getting their voice back. Comment thought tech if you want the next episode. Neuralink versus Synchron versus Paradromics. 3 BCI paths: skull, vessel, and the race to real use. Subscribe, because on this channel, we don't just watch the future arrive. We read the fine print.